Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Sandeman Street Podcast, a podcast about Dundee and Dundee United from fans of both clubs. A bit different today, I'm joined by a different co-host, introducing Reece. Hi Reece, how are you?
Hey Andy, how's it going, mate?
I'm good. Now Reece, I've known you for quite a while now, and I've never actually ever found out who you support, but you're going to be the Dundee United fan today. We're going to put you in that position, and I think that between the two of us, we're going to try and give you as much Dundee United news as possible. I do know that you support Man United, so there's a United there somewhere. Before we start though, just a bit of housekeeping. Martin, my co-host for the first 4 episodes of the podcast, he's actually stepping down. We've obviously had weeks where we've not been able to bring the podcast up, upload a new episode. Obviously, in the introductory stage of the podcast, it's probably the best time to do it. Martin's had to step down, totally understandable. He's just not really got the time to do it, and the best time to do it is now. So I'd like to place on record my thanks to Martin. He's been a pal for a long time. I know he's got my back, and he's happy for us to carry on doing this. Reece, a few weeks ago, had agreed to step in today because although I do have some of Dundee United supporting friends, unfortunately, they're all in Luxembourg. We're recording today on Tuesday. They're in Luxembourg on Thursday. So the majority of them are all away on their jaunt. So from next week onwards, I've got a new co-host, and that's Jack. So Jack will be joining us from next week's episode 6. So looking forward to bringing him in. We are still going to do the Footballogy Challenge. Jack is actually going to join into that, so Martin, myself and Jack are going to be taking part in that. And Martin has agreed to come back and do the odd episode in the future. So again, thanks very much for Martin. I hope you're listening, and we'll get going with episode 5. So Reece, United in action last week in the first leg of their Conference League second round tie, I think it was, UNA Strassen. What of that did you see?
I got quite a bit of an extended highlight, mate. I watched obviously the normal highlights, and then I watched a bit of in depth. And because I knew it was coming on, I watched some podcaster on YouTube, and he gave like his full day out, and it looked quite good. It's always good to see, teams in Scotland get into Europe, because it's something that's really good for the city, gets everyone together, builds up a lot of hope, but then usually ends in tears. I think United have done well to get a 1-0 result, but in my opinion, I've seen quite a few people saying, oh, that's embarrassing, 1-0 result, 1-0 against the team from Luxembourg. I think some people were saying, joiners and all this stuff, but this team are still in a European competition, and I honestly think that I'm not even just trying to be controversial here. I think Luxembourg will get a result on Thursday, and
I mean, it's all the kind of the deja vu is probably the right thing to say about when Rangers played that progress from Luxembourg, and they scraped a 1-0 win in the first tie at Ibrox, and then they went over there and they got beat. Now United obviously scraped their 1-0. From what I've seen, from what I've heard, they were the better team for the majority of the game. The UNA Strassen had a few chances late on. I just think it's probably a case of if United played this team in 6 months, they'd batter them because they're up to speed by then. It's an awkward time for Scottish teams, isn't it?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I've never really got the ins and outs of UNA Strassen, and if it's similar team to what they had playing last season, but to me, from looking at Dundee United's team, from the end of last season to this season, it looks quite a bit different. I'm a big fan of Will Ferry, but I think last week it took him a bit of time to get into the game, from what I heard. But his delivery and directiveness is really, really impressive. But I think also, stat for you, that I think that was the first time in United's history that they fielded a starting 11 without any Scottish players in it. I could be wrong. That could just be a guess.
You're right there. And I was wanting to speak about that now. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter speaking about that. A lot of people who don't support either Dundee or Dundee United, fans of other clubs, Scottish football fans in general, speaking about that. United fielded an entire 11 at the beginning of the game, and there was not one Scot in it. Now, I did see a lot of the United fans were kind of arguing, kind of fighting their corner as such about that point, and I don't think I'm not here to criticise United, because I just don't think there's kind of two things I think about this. One is I don't think there's enough good quality Scottish players about, so they're going to have to sign foreign, whether that be British, Irish, or abroad. And the other thing is that the players who will be of an equal ability to the foreign players that they're signing is going to cost them money. And it's going to cost them far more money than they would of the boys that they're signing from abroad. So, yeah, I think it's concerning that these boys there's no Scottish players in their starting 11. There was obviously quite a few Scottish players on their bench. You need to factor that in. But I don't think it's I don't think it's something that I'm going to be shouting at United are bastards for this, basically. It's just a sad indictment of what's going on at the moment. There's not enough quality of Scottish players coming through, and Dundee are doing exactly the same thing. Dundee haven't signed any Scottish players, don't think. All Dundee's players are all English or Irish. There was one Bulgarian, so it's the same with Dundee. It's just that they're more closer to home, the people that we've signed. But yeah, it's not a great look, but I don't blame United for doing it, is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to go off topic. I mean, I'll definitely get back to thoughts on UNA Strassen United, but I've been noticing a lot of teams, like I think for today, Hearts have now got like a link up. Like all these Premiership teams are getting link ups with, you know, teams that are maybe Highland League, Lowland League, or SPL League 2. SPFL League 1 or 2. They get striking like partnerships, so it allows their youth players to go and play for them as well as playing for the youth teams. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's a new SFA initiative. I can't remember what the name of it's called. There was a boy on Radio Scotland a couple of weeks ago when I was listening to it, was speaking about it. So basically, as far as I'm aware, this might be wrong, but if a club, like I think for example Ayr United have got one with East Stirling, Kilmarnock have got one with Annan Athletic, and there's obviously other clubs who have got other ones, and it basically lets them loan out as many players as possible really to these clubs, and they're allowed to play professional football on loan. But if the club needs the player back, for example Rangers have one with whoever, and Rangers need a player for their European kind of homegrown quota, they can bring that player back and have him on the bench or whatever for their European game, and then that player can then go back to that club on loan. I think that's how it works. It basically gives the clubs more freedom to loan players out, and it means that they're not having to... Rangers and Celtic are obviously... They suffer from this a lot. They don't necessarily like to let their players go out on loan because they need them for their European quota. Whereas I think it gives them that flexibility to let them go out on loan, play games, develop, but also they're able to then play for Celtic or Rangers if needed for their European quota. So yeah, you are right in that.
That makes a lot of sense for getting these youth players, like Scottish in particular.
Yeah, they need to play more games,
Definitely. Well, so giving credit to where credit's due, Dundee, I think they had the most minutes played for us under 21s last season for youth players. But anyway, back to UNA Strassen. Basically, last week, I think United have done well. They've not conceded at home. They've got a 1-0 victory. And they've got to take that away. I mean, I hope history doesn't repeat itself, because I think the last time they had a 1-0 victory in a European tie, it ended quite badly for them.
Yeah, I hadn't seen them getting beat 7-0.
No.
As funny as it would be.
Yeah, poor Martin, giving up the podcast because he's busy, and now his team's his team's getting beat 7-0. But no, I hope the fans like have a great time and stuff. But I don't. I would not be disregarding any team because it's a funny old game, football. And I honestly think Luxembourg, the UNA Strassen will beat them. I think it'll be about 2-1, and I'm uncertain if it goes straight to penalties or if it goes to extra time. But I can honestly see if it goes to penalties, like UNA Strassen going through. I don't think United will qualify. I think Jim Goodman's a good manager. I think he sets them up really well, but I don't know. I've just got a sneaking suspicion that they'll go through.
All jokes aside, I do hope that they go through. I mean, they've got Rapid Vienna, or is it a Macedonian team or something like that, in the next round. I think Rapid Vienna are up on aggregate, and then they're at home in the next leg, so that will no doubt be them. I think Scottish teams need to start winning. Now, your theory, I would find it absolutely hysterical as a Dundee supporter. But if you're looking at it from a Scottish football mindset, we need our teams to start winning games, And
definitely.
Hibs go to a team who almost won the Danish league last year and get a 1-1 draw away from home, and from what I've seen, played very well. We're wanting more results like that, in my opinion.
I just like Hibs because of their chants, See all their singing and their chants.
That one from last week seems to have caught on.
Yeah.
But I think we need United to win that game. As I say, I'm not going to actively come out there and say that I hope United win, but at the same time, I'm thinking we really need United and other Scottish teams to start winning games where I think United are expected to win this one, but Hibs are in a position where they're not expected to win it. And more often than not, Scottish teams are not winning games that they're not expected to win. So we need them to start doing that.
Well, going back to your point about not knowing who I do support, it would have been about 6 years ago now, probably around about this time, to be fair, I went to see Rangers. It was either in the Champions League qualifiers or Europa League qualifiers, and it was against Maitland, and it was at Ibrox. So I was familiar with them, but it's going back to it's getting on to the point of these European teams. Like, I remember watching Maitland, and they got beat 4-0 from Rangers. But 4-0 sounds horrendous. But see the way they played football and knock it about. Like, the Europeans are just so good at it. Like, they just know how to play football.
Yeah.
We even seen
that when Scotland played Iceland. Iceland passed Scotland off the park, and it was a friendly in Scotland. A lot of Scotland players probably wouldn't have taken it very seriously, but the Icelandic players were passing Scotland off the pitch.
Yeah, they're good. I always find them to be quite fluid. Like an international team, like the Euros last year, team I always like watching at big competitions is Switzerland. The way in Austria as well, they're just so fluid that just everyone knows their jobs. It's very well organised and just technically very good. So that's my concern. I hope, because there's an expectation on United, I hope they can just go out and play with some freedom. They're 1-0 up, play well. I think Ross Graham, who just got the captaincy, I'm sure he's out for a while now with a knee injury or something.
Yeah,
I think he's in
Mark
rehab.
was saying that.
He's quite a big miss for them. But and then he's in.
Was it maybe a hamstring injury he's out with?
Is it the hamstring? Yeah,
I think it may be a hamstring. Yeah.
Even like boys like Declan Gallagher, leaving them, experienced defenders who's also played at a high European level. Like, he was probably the best player on the pitch when Scotland qualified for the Euros for was it been the 2020 Euros, but ended up being the 2021 or something.
When he was marking Mitrovic in that playoff, very well that night.
Like, if I was going into European competitions, I would have kept boys like Gallagher, just for their experience alone. And he's a leader, good player, but hey ho, he's probably on a good wage up at Ross County now, who are looking good.
Uncle Roy will be paying heavy money for getting them out of that championship again.
Yeah. Well, going back, I think I'm on about like youth players, like the boy, is it Ronan Hale? Is he Irish? Is it Northern Irish?
Northern Irish, yeah.
Ah, right, okay. Okay, well, yeah, even players like that, how's boy teams like United and Dundee, how are they not trying to sign him? He's a really good player.
See, the thing is,
Is
I
it
reckon with
fine?
that is that I think Ross County will be wanting more money than what United or Dundee would be willing to pay.
Ah, okay.
I think Aberdeen, Hearts or Hibs, if they really wanted him, would be able to get him out of Ross County. But I just think that Ross County are in a bit of a position where I think he's got a year or two left on his contract.
hmm
They're not in dire financial straits because the boy who owns them's
Minted.
minted, yeah.
And
Um,
he's like one of the 10 richest in Scotland, or he was
yeah,
anyway.
he's this is what annoys me about Ross County is that when you hear all this, they're a Highland team from a little town. There's stadium that they've got has got more of a capacity than the population of the town that they're from. It's such a fairy tale. Is it
Mhm.
fuck a fairy tale? Every time Ross County are in any sort of need of any help, the boy Roy McGregor comes out and ploughs money into them, and they just go and sign with people and they either survive or get promoted.
Mhm.
So yeah, not a fan. But anyway, we'll finish up on United.
Yeah.
You reckon they'll get beat?
I don't want them to. I mean, got a lot of United mates. I would rather they went through because it is good, and they might end up getting like some half decent. Look, if they win this, does that not mean that they're definitely in the conference?
No, I think that they've got.
No, Rapid Vienna.
Well, they've got at least one more round. I think it might be two, but if they win, if they win the tie that they're in just now, they'll have either Rapid Vienna or I think it's like FK Dukic or something like that. I think they're
Oh,
from one
okay.
of the Balkan countries,
hmm
Macedonia or something, Montenegro or something like that. But
Yeah,
the Rapid Vienna were at least 2-0 up, I think. So, and
yeah.
they're at home in
Well,
the second leg, so that they'll definitely be there, I would assume.
mhm. Well, again, that's another good tie uh, for United, and it's good for the fans as well. Good for the experience, you know. So I hope they win. I do, and I hope they get into the Conference League. But I've just got it's just someone's telling me. I think that UNA Strassen will beat them.
Hmm.
But what's your thoughts?
I think they'll go through. Yeah, they've got a new team. Their team's still gelling. They're undercooked. It's at a time of the season where they're still finding fitness. They're still finding match sharpness. I just think that they'll have enough to go through this leg. But I think
Mhm.
especially if they're going to play Rapid Vienna, I can't see them getting any further than that. Not
No.
that I know anything about Rapid Vienna, but the name alone, I just think that that'll be as far as they get. As I say, I'm not going to come out here and say I really want United to win. I really want United to go through. But at the same time, if they were to go through, it's good as a Scottish football fan, shall we
Mhm.
say?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, we'll move on from that positivity to some negativity. The last time that we had an episode out was after Dundee had lost to Airdrie, and we were given the Alloa game the big build up saying that they needed to go to Alloa, they were out, and in true Dundee fashion they got beat away at Alloa 1-0 with a Luke Graham own goal. They followed that up with a 3-1 win away at Bonnyrigg and a 5-0 win at the weekend against Montrose at Dens. Now, the second half against Montrose was slightly more. You had a bit more reason to be a bit more enthusiastic, shall we say, a bit more positive. The look. I know it's against the League One side. I know it's a dead rubber effectively. It was just pretty much a pre-season friendly, but they looked like they were kind of finding their feet a bit more. They look absolutely brilliant from set pieces. If we just had a
Yeah.
set piece league this season, Dundee would win the league. And the boy Amari Samuels, who signed in January under Tony Docherty, had very little minutes after he signed. Doesn't look like the greatest of players. I think that we could do better in his position. But I'll tell you something: put the ball on the ground and cross the ball in the box. He's a left-footed Beckham.
Mhm.
He could put a ball in a sixpence. That lad. He honestly, I'm
Yeah.
not kidding you. Sitting watching that game on Saturday, some of the deliveries he were putting in were brilliant.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know how much of Dundee have you seen since the start of the season.
I watched the highlights earlier on um, of the 5-0 game. Um, but the big boy I like at the back, number 5, is it Kinetio?
Billy Cometio, yeah,
Yeah,
I think
he
so, yeah.
wasn't playing. Yeah, he wasn't playing. But what I did take from that game was, I mean, last season I really rated Simon Murray. I've rated him for a few seasons. I think he's always had the attitude and the physical attributes, but he's just missed that finishing, maybe just that technical ability has kind of not always been there.
Hmm.
I'm going to put that down to that. He never came through like a youth system. Like I know he worked his way up through like the junior ranks in Arbroath and whatnot, but just that actual football brain that can kind of. I mean, some people have just got it, but I think he's worked on it naturally. I think going to Ross County in that as well, where he became like the main man, just he's grown in confidence and he looks like a footballer now. Some of his, I know it's against Montrose, but at the end of the day, these boys are still, although they're part-time professional, still professional footballers. He just looks like a player. I think his link-up play is quite good. I think he scored a couple of goals anyway to get him started. Um, but yeah, I think Dundee. I think it's going to take time. I do really think it's going to take time. And results
Yeah,
against Alloa, you know, I know we're going to get on to it later about the last 16, but without the Premier League or the Championship, without them two leagues, Alloa are the only team to be in the
hmm,
last 16, and
yep.
obviously they've been merited because they'll get their trip to Ibrox, the big house.
Shock.
But
That was the least shocking thing in the world was them drawn Rangers.
oh, I know it's. I think there's been a lot of orange marches going on recently, so I think I think they went from the lodge into the back into Hampden. Um,
Oh dear.
but nah, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. No, I think yeah, it's not looking good for Dundee, but uh, it's hard because I've heard that Presley is meant to be quite good.
Yeah,
He's
from all
very,
that.
very. Yeah, sorry.
No, on you go.
Where you going? Oh no, just for how uninspiring he is. Um, yeah, I've been told he's meant to be good. Um, so you know, I don't think many Dundee fans are happy with the appointment. In the least, and being realistic, if Dundee were to win a trophy, it would either be the League Cup or the Scottish Cup. And we're already out of one. So it's not great, and it's negativity. Like, oh, if I'm the man to get you, if you want somebody to win your trophies, I'm not that man and everything. It's just he's playing
That's a,
himself down, and it's
that's a
not
poor
really,
quote, that.
yeah, it's quite uninspiring. Um, but as you said, Dundee, if they can really just kind of park the bus, it might not be a great football season in terms of ability, but I think this season's going to be focusing on staying up. But getting a 5-0 win, I mean, played Bonnyrigg again. Bonnyrigg 3-1. They scored two late goals.
It's a
Um,
tough watch, that.
yeah, it is a hard watch.
It was a
But
hard watch.
in respect to all the Dundee fans that went after knowing they were out, that true supporters that.
Yeah,
Um,
me being one of them, unfortunately.
yeah, but at the end of the day, it's still won. So Montrose again, still win the game. Um, so yeah, it's not looking amazing, but I don't think it's the end of the world.
I don't know how much of Twitter you see nowadays, but Dundee were playing Bonnyrigg at Whitehill Welfare's ground.
Yeah,
Their pitch is getting levelled out at the moment, so they're playing their games there. And in his post-match interview, Stephen Presley was complaining about the pitch. Now, don't get me wrong, the pitch was not great, right? The pitch was full of like uneven bits, and the ball just wasn't rolling very well. It wasn't like there was loads of bobbles and divots as such, but the pitch just wasn't like flat.
Mhm.
And you could notice that if you were just to look at the lines, it just wasn't flat. Now, I would caveat that by saying that they're playing at a pitch that's effectively a junior ground,
Yeah.
and they're not. Nobody's expecting Wembley, right? So the pitch isn't great, but I don't think it's necessarily a criticism. These pitches are maintained by volunteers. No one's expecting, as I say, no one's expecting Wembley. And Whitehill Welfare have been all over Twitter crying about it. Now, at first it was funny when the tweeted, like, I think that our pitch is the least of your problems this season, Stephen Presley. Now that was funny, and then it kept going and it kept going and it kept going. You were like, Jesus, give us a break here. Like, get the tissues back in your pocket. Like, we know that, like, he was moaning about your pitch, and you've had your cry about it, and you've had a bit of a humour about it. Like, let's move on. But that pitch wasn't great. It wasn't conducive to good football. Dundee aren't conducive to good football in general, but they managed to get the 3 points in that game. They played a lot better on Saturday at home against Montrose, as we were speaking about. Montrose wasn't very great. They're a League One team. Dundee should be beating them, in my opinion. So they done what they had to do. A few late goals from set pieces. So yeah, that was great. But they're out the League Cup, and as you say, I totally agree. One of the two trophies that Dundee and all the other clubs other than the Old Firm go into every season thinking that they've got a chance of winning, because they've not got a chance of winning the league. So what we'll do now is we'll go through the results from the weekend, and we'll speak about the draw. So Group A, Falkirk 0, Falkirk 4, Spartans 0, Queen's Park 2, Cove Rangers 1. Group B, Ross County 1, Partick Thistle 3, and Stranraer 1, Queen of the South 0. Group C, Dundee's group, Airdrieonians 2, Alloa Athletic 3, so Alloa win the group, beating Dundee and Airdrie, two teams from leagues above. Well done to Alloa. And to Dundee 5, Montrose 0. Group D, Forfar 1, Arbroath 0, and on the Sunday it was St Mirren 2, Ayr 1. In Group E, Dunfermline 2, Stirling Albion 0, and Hamilton 0, Dumbarton 1. Group F, Raith Rovers 5, Inverness 1, and St Johnstone 8, Elgin City 0. Group G, Greenock Morton 3, Clyde 0, and Stenhousemuir 1, Peterhead 0. Group H, Kilmarnock 4, East Fife 0, and Livingston 6, Kelty Hearts 0. And moving on to the draw for the last 16, we've got Celtic v Falkirk, Morton v Aberdeen, Kilmarnock v Dundee United, Livingston v Hibernian, Partick Thistle v Ayr, Rangers v Alloa, St Johnstone v Motherwell, and St Mirren v Hearts. Now, other than the fact that Rangers have got the easiest draw in the world at home, United, obviously this is a Dundee and Dundee United podcast, so we'll focus on United. Away to Kilmarnock, that's a tricky one.
And I like Kilmarnock's manager. I think he left Motherwell.
Do you like him? Oh, you kind of suffer him.
In terms of, like, you get some results. He's done quite well at Motherwell. Do you know?
Yeah, I think Motherwell.
Yes, to a certain extent.
I spoke about this in one of our previous podcasts. Was that Motherwell are one of the teams where they'll start either really well or really shite, and then they'll have like a big dip or a big improvement, and then they'll have a really, really bad dip. And towards the end of the season, where it's looking a wee bit hairy for them, they'll pull a few results out of nowhere and they'll stay in the league. That's Motherwell. And when Kettlewell was there, they went something ridiculous. It was like 15 games without a win, and he survived it. But last season he eventually walked, and it was all to do with how his family were getting too much abuse.
Yeah, well, that completely just devalues what I said about him being good. Yeah, he was fucking shit, Andy.
I think if you look at it, and when he first come in at Motherwell, he was at Ross County as a co-manager and then a manager in his own right. and they
Yeah.
got Ross County and their billions at the Championship. They got promoted, and then he kept them in the league until he was sacked. Then he went into Motherwell. When he first initially came in, who was it that left? Was it Graham Alexander who left? And then he came in as temporary because he was in the youth setup or something. He came in as a temporary and done really well until the end of that season. Now, last couple of seasons ago, they were mid-table. Last season, pretty much the same. I mean, for a club like Motherwell, that's really what you're wanting. You're wanting your bread and butter, your mid-table, no really looking like they're in too much trouble, and a cup run, and every few years you go into the top six and potentially get your European jaunt. That is my idea of heaven as a Dundee supporter, by the way. Not what we've got just now, where you get promoted, you have a bit of a bounce because you've come up with loads of positivity, you finish in the top six, and then the season after you struggle a wee bit, and instead of just keeping your manager and having a bit of continuity, you bin him for Stephen Presley. There's the whole club shrouded in negativity. No one wants to buy a season ticket. No one wants to buy it to go to the game on Sunday because it's £30 a ticket, and everybody's predicting you to get relegated. Not one person's predicting Motherwell to get relegated.
I know.
So Motherwell, and to an extent Kilmarnock. I know Kilmarnock had a relegation a few years ago, but before that they'd been in the league for a long time. And now St Mirren. Motherwell, St Mirren and Kilmarnock are kind of what clubs of our size should strive for, in my opinion. Just constant continuity, keeping yourself in the league. It might be boring, but I'd rather be boring than be in the Championship.
Yeah.
And up and down, and up and down, up and down.
Yeah, I think, teams like Kilmarnock as well, like especially under Derek McInnes, who I'm a big fan of, they've become hard to play against. Like, even St Mirren as well last season, touching on these teams, like, they become hard to play against. They're not nice teams you want to be playing against. They're not really, they're very physical sides. They're up for it. They know what's on the line. They give it their all week in, week out. That's kind of Dundee as well, but Dundee's midfield, had like young Lyle Cameron, again, exceptional footballer. But these other teams just have massive, strong, powerful boys that are, put the foot in. Physical, the good old Scottish game, as to say.
Yeah.
But then...
On you.
No, on you go, mate.
No, it's just that, like me and Martin have spoken in the past on these podcasts, and I think people are going to think that I'm a Stephen Robinson cheerleader, but he just gets Scottish football, And he exactly what you've just said. Fill his team full of know-how, strong boys, but they're also good footballers. Like the boy Killian Phillips, who plays us in Burn just now, he's scoring quite regularly at the moment. He's no any great football player. He's a big lad, big athletic lad, and he fits Scottish football in a nutshell. He fits that to a T, and that's exactly the type of players that I would sign if I was a Dundee manager. No going and signing boys like Cesar Garza going for some Monterrey team in Mexico. Like, you could have a sprinkle of these players, but predominantly you should have in my opinion, have your team full of British-Irish players. And I know that Dundee have done that this summer, but we'll just have to see what happens with them.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. But yeah, difficult draw for United.
Yeah, definitely. That's a hard draw. I mean, Kilmarnock, we don't know what they're going to be like without Derek McInnes. As you say, Derek McInnes is a good manager. I'd have him in Dundee in a heartbeat. But I think that is a tricky one for United, definitely, especially on the AstroTurf.
Yeah. I think it's banned soon, does it not? Maybe next season?
Yeah, so from next season, I think that they have to put grass down. I think on maybe episode 1 we were speaking, or episode 2 we were speaking about Livingston's, and how Livingston and Falkirk have both came up with astro pitches, but because they've only just come up, they get a year's grace.
Okay.
Livingston have actually just put down a new AstroTurf pitch, and I was wondering, like, why would you spend all that money to put a new AstroTurf pitch down if you're getting a year's grace to then put a grass one down? But Davy Martindale was getting interviewed, and apparently if they didn't put a new AstroTurf pitch down, they weren't getting allowed to get promoted.
Oh, really? He probably done it himself, mate. Have you seen all the work he does?
Yeah. He's the Johnny, is he? He's the Livy Johnny.
Yeah, he just does everything there, eh? But yeah, to be honest, I probably would have had him at Dundee over Stephen Presley as well.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. But he'll intimidate John Nelms too much.
Yeah.
Because Davy Martindale kind of knows what he's doing, and John Nelms didn't like that, because he'd fall out with him in about 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... yeah, he used to run the teams when he was in the jail as well, apparently. But nah, he's a good man and a good coach, and he knows what it's all about. Yeah, and he's made, by the way, he's made some good signings as well. Like Mo Sill on a 3-year deal. What's that all about?
It's a long bit of a long contract, if you ask me. But good player.
But again, I think they'll stay up. But yeah, we've spoken about United. We'll go on to Rangers and Alloa.
If you would like to speak about Rangers and Alloa, mate, crack on.
Yeah, well, I'll just let you know who I think's going to go through, and not dwell on it. So Rangers and Alloa. Unfortunately, I can't see Alloa going through that. Partick Thistle and Ayr.
It's a tough one. I fancy
that is a tough one.
I fancy Ayr have signed a lot of good players this summer. I fancy them. I think they might they might have a chance of winning that league.
Yeah, is Scott Byrne still in charge?
He is, yeah.
Yeah, Ayr will win that game then.
Celtic Falkirk, what do you reckon? That's a tough one.
Yeah, I'll go for Celtic on that one.
Morton Aberdeen. Yep. Killie United.
Does it see if it's a draw? Does it go straight to pens?
Not once it's into like this format. So the group stage is finished. Extra time and penalties now.
Okay, I think that game could go the full distance.
I think Kilmarnock will just shade it, but
yeah.
I do agree with you. Livy against Hibs.
Again, that's on the Astro, and Hibs are going to be playing week in, week out. So again, I think that could go to extra time. I would naturally say Hibs to win it because I think they're a very, very good team. But I guess it just depends on who they bring in between now and then because they're going to be playing a lot of games.
They'll be hoping to bring the boy Triantis back.
He was very good.
They're still looking at him. St Johnstone, Motherwell.
I'll tell you, I would not pay money to watch that game, but we'll go for Motherwell actually because I think they've got a new manager in again, who's meant to be semi decent. One of these. He's a foreign guy as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Danish, is he not? Something like that.
Danish, yeah. And actually, big open goal fan. Soon to be your competitor, but I like Andy Halliday. Big fan of Andy Halliday.
Yeah. See what's amazing? It's amazing the perception you get of football players, right? When you just watch them playing football. So when Andy Halliday was at Rangers, I couldn't suffer him. He was just a snarling little bastard, right? But see, when you see him on open goal, he's great. Really, really good. He's got good opinions. He talks really well. He's just a great. He's funny, like a great guy. Yeah. But then last season he was playing for Motherwell at Dens, and you watch him in isolation, and you forget all about him being on that podcast and stuff. Also, in that moment of being at the game, and you look at him and thinking, "You're a little bastard." There. But then you see him the following week on the podcast, and he's great.
Yeah.
The last game is St Mirren Hearts. I think Hearts will just shade that.
Yeah, I think so too. And just quickly going back to about Andy Halliday, about him, different perceptions. They completely agree for the same as Joey Barton. Great opinions, great off the... I'm only joking.
Are you trying to get this podcast cancelled?
No, I'm only kidding there. I'm only kidding. But yeah, no, I think Hearts go through from that one.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we'll move on from that. That's the League Cup covered. We'll be covering that until United get put out of that, which is hopefully soon because I couldn't bear them winning a cup.
Yeah.
We'll move on. So build up to the new league season. We should really be excited about that. I should be sitting here absolutely buzzing for Sunday afternoon when Dundee take on Hibs, but I'm absolutely full of dread. I think Simon Murray's going to be injured.
Mm-hmm.
He limped off on Saturday against Montrose, and it's not looking good. The rumours that are circulating around Dundee is that he's not going to make it for Sunday, and it could potentially be semi to long term. He's obviously had problems with his knees before, so we'll just have to wait and see. But Hibs at home, and I know that they're in Europe on Thursday, but Hibs at home is a hard start to the season, isn't it?
Yeah, out with the old firm, I think that's at present that is the hardest team Dundee could have got. And Josh Mulligan will obviously return, who I think is a fantastic footballer. I think he used to watch me when I was at the Kettle Drum and stuff, and when he was a younger boy, and that's where he took his inspiration from. But he is an outstanding footballer, and I think he'll get in the team of the year putting out there. But I just think what the Hibs manager has done, he was under a lot of pressure last year, but they stuck with him. I know he's a bit of a cult hero there, but just with teams again, it's always the same. When teams are playing, 3 games in a week. Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, or Sunday, Thursday, Sunday. You know what I mean? It's going to be very difficult. But without Simon Murray, I don't know how we're going to score. Unless, as you said, it's from a corner. I don't know how Dundee are going to score.
Might go in off somebody's arse or something, hopefully.
Yeah. So I would say, I would say Hibs to win that. Unfortunately, I think maybe 2-0. It'll be something like that, like a 3-1 or 2-0.
It's mad. I'm not really taking the same sort of approach as the vast majority of Dundee fans when it comes to this new manager and stuff. I would like to stay as positive as possible for as long as possible, but that being said, I have got absolutely no positivity in me for Sunday. None at all. I don't think there's any chance in hell Dundee will win that game.
Nah, I don't. And if they do, then God bless Stephen Presley. But
I think the only chance Dundee have got is if there's more protests on the Forth Road Bridge this weekend and the Hibs bus can't get across it.
Yeah, that's definitely the only chance they've got. But as we say, football's a funny old game. Hibs might end up getting a result against Maitland on Thursday, and I don't know if footballers would drink after doing that. I don't know what this means for them if they go through. Is that them have they got another game to go?
So if Hibs win on Thursday, they have got one more Europa League tie left, but they're guaranteed group stage football because if they get beat in the Europa League playoff, they drop them into the conference.
Well, Dundee probably want Hibs to win, and hopefully the game goes the full distance. So then they're going to be a bit leggy. If they do win, in the moment, if the players drink, recovery's not going to be as good.
Go back and have a few pints in Midlands after the game.
Hopefully their mindset is fuck. It's only Dundee on Sunday, and then Dundee have nothing to offer and end up winning 1-0, a header, the last kick of the game. Or even if Dundee got a draw at a point on the first day of the season, it would be beneficial. Yeah, I think any Dundee fan would bite your hand off that right now. 1-1, or 0-0, and you would take that. But yeah, it's kind of all I've got to
Absolutely.
say on Dundee.
Yeah, well, we'll move on to United. United are away to Falkirk for Falkirk's Flag Day. I think that actually might be on the telly on Sunday afternoon,
Mhm.
just before Dundee kick off. I think it's maybe 2 o'clock kick off, and then Celtic have follow
Yeah.
that up. Um, we'll get the fixtures up in a second, but United, that is a tricky game because although
Mhm.
Falkirk are newly promoted, it is their first game of the season. There'll be full of momentum. The stadium will be
Mhm.
full. It'll be a great atmosphere. Um, I heard someplace that the away fans at Falkirk Stadium this season is only like 750 tickets, so they're
Mhm.
doing a bit of a Hearts. Um, but it's their ground, and if they've got the home fans to fill it, then so be it. I've got no complaints. Um, but yeah,
So
it's
does that count when the Old Firm go?
yeah, for every game
Oh, really?
they've been selling season tickets in the away. I think they've sold like 5,500 season tickets.
Wow.
So it's great for Falkirk. They're one of the clubs where they should be in the Premier League or at least the top half of the Championship. They've been down in that League One far too long. Um, I think it's going to be a tricky game. I think that between them and United this weekend, I think it'll be a draw. What do you reckon?
Mhm. Yeah, I would say I'd say a draw would be a fair result. If it goes the full distance with United, uh, then I think that Falkirk maybe edge it. But so again, first game of the season, you're just newly promoted. I think Falkirk, if they do go, I got to go ahead, and they're on the front foot, then a 1-1, they would probably take that if you're Falkirk. Um, yeah, I would say it's going to be a draw.
Mm.
Falkirk United draw.
So rounding off the rest of the card for this weekend, on Saturday we've only got two games, and they're Kilmarnock against Livingston, and then the tea time game is Motherwell against Rangers. Moving on
Hmm.
to Sunday, there is four. Oh no, there's three games. Falkirk United at 2 o'clock, Dundee Hibs at 3 o'clock, and Celtic against St Mirren at 4:30. And
Hmm.
the Monday night game is Hearts against Aberdeen. That's a bit of a
Yep.
cracker. Sky Sports are obviously showing, like they did last season on the first day, the first round of fixtures, that they give a bit of a shit about Scottish football, and then once the English football kicks off again, they forget all about it. Which moves us on nicely to our second last talking point of the podcast, and that's that the first two Dundee derbies of the season have been selected for the TV. The first derby of the season is now going to take place on Sunday, the 31st of August, kicking off at 2 o'clock, and it's
Hmm.
going to be on Premier Sports. The
Ah,
second
that's not
derby
good.
of the season at Tannadice will be on Saturday, the 3rd of January, kicking off at 3, and that's going to be on Sky Sports. So good for the city's clubs to be live on the telly. I'm
Yep.
I'm a bit I'm a bit peeved off that Sky Sports haven't picked up that first game. Sky Sports are our main broadcaster, and they should have the biggest games on that. And the Old Firm games, the Edinburgh derbies, and the Dundee derbies, I don't care what the deal says they can and can't do. The derby should be on Sky Sports.
Yeah.
Now,
That's not.
Premier Sports have put a lot of money into Scottish football in the past few years now, and it's obviously any penny is a prisoner in Scottish football, but we really need to figure out a way where this TV deal can be. I think it's something like each ground is allowed to have 5 games broadcast on the TV. That's just
Mhm.
strangling the ability for a media like Sky Sports to put on the best games on their platform, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I don't know who came up with that deal, but it's just a lot of nonsense.
Yeah, it's something to do with like the monopoly, like because you obviously got BT Sport, Premier Sport, Sky Sports, and whatever other sports, Satanta Sport. Nah,
I
they've
think you're about
obviously
15 years too late for
yeah,
that.
they've got all these sports channels, so it'll just be so it's fair and that nobody could own, like have the full monopoly, which I guess is fair to an extent, but it kind of then scunners the fans because if you've not got Premier Sport and you don't go to the game, I guess the alternative is going to the pub to watch it. I don't think anybody uses those Fire Sticks anymore, but
No, they're terrible. They things.
yeah, so yeah, you're going to be spending money anyway to watch it. So yeah, it is annoying. All the derbies, in my opinion, should be on Sky Sports one platform, but it's a money's game, is it really?
I think it's also to do with. I think the Scottish clubs put that in place when they signed their TV deals because they think that if their game's on the TV, then the paying customer won't come. They'll sit and watch it in the house. But I just don't think that's true. I
Nah.
think that you'll still get the vast majority of the people who will want to just go to the match.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. Our last thing we're going to do today is we're predictions for the new season. We're both going to put together a league table. If you're listening to this on YouTube, then what I'll do is I'll put our league predictions up on screen. You'll be able to see that once we've went through them. Well, I think what we'll do, Reece, is we'll start from first and work our way down. Because I think that the differences in our opinions will probably be more predominant on the way that we go down the league. Because
Yeah,
my number one is Celtic. What do you think?
right. This is how I was saying I could be controversial here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I think there's a slim chance it could happen. But remember last season when Aberdeen done their 10 in a row basically, then it went downhill.
Oh, I know what's
They
coming here.
they weren't in Europe, were they?
No.
Nah. Well, I'm going to say Hearts have a chance.
You think Hearts are going to win the league?
I think they've got a chance, mate. Genuinely
So,
do. Hear me out, right? They've got Shankland and they've got a really good squad, and they're only going to be playing one game a week, really,
mhm.
for the majority of it. Right? Derek McInnes, fantastic manager. They've got a very, very good squad. If I'm Derek McInnes, although it would never happen, I'd be saying to Dundee, how much do you want for Simon Murray? And I would have Lon Shankland up top with Simon Murray. And or I don't know I know they've got young boy Wilson, but if you've got like the capabilities of Shankland and a goal scorer like Simon Murray, and you're only playing one game a week, yes, Celtic and Rangers most likely would still win it, but I think it could become very close for Hearts. I think Derek McInnes will do a very, very good job at Hearts. But if we're thinking, that's maybe thinking a bit optimistically, and yeah, I'm going to put Rangers to win it then. I don't think
Okay.
Celtic will win. I don't think Celtic will win the league this year.
Okay. Right, no problem. So you've Rangers to win the league. Who's your
Yep.
second place team?
Celtic.
Celtic. Mine's is Rangers before um,
Yep.
we get started. I don't think Hearts are going to win the league. Um, who have you got third?
Go Hearts.
So have I. So we'll both agree on that. I think Hearts, like what you said, with them not having any European football, Hibs win one. Hibs win their tie on Thursday. They're guaranteed European football. Aberdeen already are.
Yep.
Hearts, there seems to be a bit of a theme going on where the team who finishes third the year before has a bit of a dip, and then Aberdeen or Hearts then rotate. So I think Hearts third. Fourth, I've went with Hibs. Who have you went with?
Yeah. Yeah. I was going with Hibs as well.
hmm Yeah,
I'll say. Oh, sorry, on you go, mate.
I just think that they've got quite a strong squad. They've obviously done really well last year. The only reason I didn't put them third is purely because I think that they will progress in Europe.
Yep.
And because they progress in Europe, they'll have more games and that'll make it a bit more tricky for them.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. Uh, do you want me to go fifth?
Yeah,
If you've
who's
said
have you
four,
got
yep.
fifth?
I was going to put in fifth Aberdeen.
Aberdeen, okay. Well, in fifth I've put United.
Oh, have
The
you?
the reason being is because I think that Jim Goodwin is proven over a wee bit of time now that he is pretty decent at recruitment. And
Hmm.
if he does get this recruitment right, I don't think they're going to progress in Europe. They'll have a clean slate. They'll only have their cups and the league to prepare for.
Yeah.
So I think that they'll finish fifth. And sixth, I've went with Aberdeen. And the reason why is because they're in Europe until November, December time.
Mm.
Who have you went with in sixth?
I was kind of torn between Motherwell and Kilmarnock, but I think I'm going to go for Motherwell.
Okay.
To get sixth.
Okay. And seventh, who have you went with?
United.
United, right. Okay. And seventh, I've went with St Mirren. They've obviously had quite a few seasons now, 3 I think it is, in a row where they've finished in the top 6. They've got to European football once. Mm-hmm. Stephen Robinson's my favourite man in the whole wide world, so he'll keep them going. I just think they've got quite a strong squad.
Yeah.
They do lose players, but they don't lose the nucleus of their squad, so I think that'll keep them roughly in there. I just think they'll just miss out this season, though.
Yeah, I think that is a good shout. See, I've got Motherwell at present because they've still got the boy Lennon Miller.
Yeah, I don't think they'll have him, Reece.
If he departs, then I could probably agree with you on St Mirren.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll go. Yeah, okay.
So you've went Motherwell 6th, United 7th, and who have you went 8th?
I was thinking St Mirren.
St Mirren. In 8th, I've went for Motherwell, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit of a toss-up between them and Kilmarnock for me, but I've went Motherwell 8th and Kilmarnock 9th.
Yep.
What have you went with 9th?
I'm going to go in Livingston for 9th.
Livingston, okay. What makes you think that they'll finish that high up?
I think it'll be similar to last season, where there's about 3 or 4 teams kind of floating about. But I just think Martindale, I think he's recruited well. The AstroTurf advantage. I don't know about a goal scorer for them. I don't know if they've got a prolific goal scorer coming in. I know they play nice football. I think they're going to try and play as much as they can, but I think they're good at getting results, and Martindale should be able to keep them. But I think when they do come 9th, it'll be a matter of 1 point or 2 points. It'll go down to like the last game. Okay. So then that leaves me with
10th.
10th. Yes, that's a tough one. I had Dundee. It's kind of hard because I've got Dundee, Falkirk. Who else have I got left?
You've got Dundee, Falkirk and Kilmarnock left.
Yeah, Kilmarnock. See, probably say Killian at 10.
Okay. In 10th, I've got Falkirk. Now, I'll go over that in a minute, actually. Mm-hmm. So, who have you got in 11th? Go 11th and 12th next. Who have you got in 11th?
I've got Dundee in 11th and then Falkirk to get relegated.
Okay, so I've got Dundee in 11th and Livingston in last. Now, I've kind of bottled it a bit, in all honesty, and I'm going to admit it on the podcast. So, I've been saying to people that I reckon that Falkirk will get relegated, and the reasoning for it is because they've came through League One and the Championship with pretty much the same team, and I think it'll catch up with them. Now, when I was doing my list, which I'm going to stick to, I'm not changing it now because I'm admitting that I bottled it. When I was doing my list, it was a toss-up between who was going to get relegated in last and who was going to survive, because I do think one of the promoted teams will survive. I just have a funny feeling that Dundee will be in the playoffs this season.
Mm-hmm. Don't
ask me why, I just have that feeling.
Yep.
And I think they'll play St Johnstone in the playoffs. So I was having a think about which one of them it would be between Falkirk and Livingston. The more I think about it, John Miglin has managed hundreds of games of football, but he's not really ever managed in the Premier League. He's managed Hearts in the Premier League. Other than that, he's not really done it. Now, Davy Martindale, on the other hand, has got a lot of know-how. He's managed quite a few games in the Premier League. He's been there for quite a few seasons. I just think that the quality of his squad isn't quite there. Falkirk have got goals in them. I can't see Livingston having goals in them. They've signed Zach Rudden, for God's sake. They've signed Cammy Kerr, Silla. It's like Dundee rejects. So yeah, I'm going to stick with Livingston to get relegated in 12th in my predictions, but I could see either way in all honesty. I think that Falkirk will start the season okay, but once they start losing a few games, it could maybe hit them more because they're not used to losing.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
I think all your points are valid, to be fair. I think it will be tight between them, like Falkirk, Livy and Dundee. It just really depends. I mean, I hope Dundee don't go down, because it's good for, Scottish football, the derbies and stuff, and it's good for Dundee, the city. Yeah, it's brilliant. Derby Day is brilliant, even if you aren't a supporter of the clubs. But it's difficult. I know what you're saying about Falkirk, and they did nearly slip up towards the end of last season. Like, I'm glad they got over the line, but they do have quality. Like, I know Calvin Miller, he's a bit older now, but when he was about 14, I think he got voted like the best under 15 footballer in the world. I mean, I know that's like a while ago now. It doesn't really
Dundee
matter.
certainly wasn't of that.
Nah, but he's got ability, and these boys do have ability, but it's just, can John McGlynn keep that going against top professionals and top players like Aberdeen? You know what I mean? Aberdeen just won the Scottish Cup. Celtic, Dundee, is Dundee United in Europe. Hearts top side, Hibs top side in Europe. Killie, tricky game when you play away. Livy probably about their level. Motherwell, etc. Rangers, like. I think it might just be too much for Falkirk. And that's no disrespect to John McGlynn, because I think he's done a fantastic job there.
I think middle to front Falkirk might be okay. They've got like Arfield, they've got Brad Spencer, Calvin Miller. They've lost Morrison, haven't they? They lost him last season. The boy McIver. They've got decent firepower, a decent midfield backing them up. I just worry about their defence. To my knowledge, and Brian Graham's another striker they've signed. I just worry about their defence. I think they've only signed maybe 4 players. Brian Graham being one of them, Scott Bain in the goal, a couple of loan players. But I mean, their defence: Tom Lang, Cole Donaldson, Liam Henderson. These are boys who are serial lower league players. Now, don't get us wrong, they could come up here and they could show that they deserve to be at this level. Now, they deserve to be at this level because they won the league, but what I mean by that is that they come up in this and they prove that they're worthy to play at this level and they can move on and play higher or whatever. But I just think that it might be a step too far for them too quickly. Maybe another season in the Championship, building again, would have been better for them. But you know what? I'm happy Falkirk got promoted, because there's been too many seasons in a row now where the relegated team has been promoted straight away. I think you have to go back to 2019-20 season, ironically being Dundee, which isn't a surprise, where the relegated team didn't get promoted straight away. Now, you could maybe argue that Dundee were coming into form in that season, and they were looking like they were punting down Inverness for second place, and they could have went into the playoffs and got promoted like they did a year later. So Dundee weren't given the full chance to do that. But it's been quite a few seasons in a row now and Livingston obviously come through the playoffs, so that continued that trend. It's been quite a few seasons in a row now where the relegated team has come straight back up, and we need a bit of variety in the Premier League. We need a Dunfermline, a Falkirk, a Partick Thistle, an Ayr United. We need these type of teams to come back into the Premier League and make it a bit, and make things different, shake things up a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, that is our predictions. As I said earlier, I'll put them on screen, so if you're watching or listening, should I say, on YouTube, you'll be able to see them We'll hopefully be back next week, me and Jack, for Jack's first episode. We'll start the Footballogy Challenge, and we're going to have a new segment next week, which we'll talk about next week. But anyway, Reece, thanks very much, and I hope you really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was good, mate. Thanks for inviting me. I've only been asking for past few months to come on. I'm only joking, but nah, mate, I'm glad. As I said, I'm glad you and Martin started it, and now Jack will be continuing. Hopefully, Martin can come on when he can. But when you get to the hydro, etc., then hopefully I'll be able to come and talk to the guests.
Maybe they care at all.
But yeah, cheers for having us, mate.
Thanks very much, Reece, and have a good weekend, everyone. Roll on the weekend. Thanks very much. Cheers.